Getting invited to a main camp in the NAHL or USHL is not random. For most players, it is the result of years of work, development, and gradually building a reputation. Teams evaluate players throughout the entire season, during league games, showcase tournaments, combines, development camps, and through coach recommendations and scouting reports. Video has also become extremely important today, along with consistency and the ability to compete against high-level opponents. A player does not need to be a superstar. Many invitations go to players who show the right attitude, good pace of play, strong character, and long-term development potential. There are several ways to earn a main camp invitation. One common path is through a successful pre-draft or development camp, where the organization can evaluate the player in person. Other paths include strong performances at major tournaments, coach recommendations, in-season scouting, or participation in events such as the USHL Combine. Some organizations follow players for several years before eventually inviting them to their main camp. Sometimes the invitation itself can reveal the level of interest a team has in a player. There is a difference between a mass camp invitation and a situation where the player is personally contacted by the head coach or general manager. Strong signs of interest can include repeated communication, a direct invitation to the main camp without attending a pre-draft camp first, or mentions that the organization sees the player as a potential draft or tender candidate. At the same time, an invitation alone guarantees nothing. The real evaluation begins once the camp starts, and that is where many players first realize how intense the competition truly is. A main camp is not an open tryout where everyone starts from the same position. On the ice, returning players, drafted players, tendered players, and invited free agents all compete together. Returning players already know the system. Drafted players represent an investment by the organization. Tendered players were often selected long before the draft and are already part of the team's future plans. That does not mean other players cannot succeed. Every year, teams sign players who arrived just as invited free agents. But it is important to understand the reality of a main camp. Coaches are usually not looking for 10 new players. Sometimes there are only a few roster spots truly available. That is why every detail matters. Pace of play, consistency, decision-making, and the overall impression a player leaves over just a few days. A main camp is not only about highlight plays or individual skill. Coaches are not simply looking for the most talented players. They are looking for players they can trust in real junior hockey situations. They evaluate pace, decision-making under pressure, competitiveness, body language, communication, reactions after mistakes, and the ability to function within the team structure. In North American hockey, success often comes down to who can make the right decision half a second faster than everyone else. One of the biggest mistakes players make at main camp is trying too hard to stand out. The result is often unnecessary puck handling, risky individual plays, or chaotic hockey. In reality, coaches are often more impressed by players who play a simple, fast, reliable game. Players who stay calm under pressure, communicate well, change correctly, and maintain a high pace every shift. At the same time, the organization is building its roster for the upcoming season during main camp. Coaches compare new players with returning players, search for chemistry between lines and defensive pairings, test special teams, and look for players who best fit the team's identity. Sometimes a highly talented player simply does not fit the organization's immediate needs. Other times, a less flashy player earns a spot because he perfectly fits a specific role the team needs. For forwards, coaches usually focus on pace and compete level. Forechecking, playing without the puck, attacking dangerous areas, and quick decision-making in the offensive zone are extremely important. Coaches highly value players who can be dangerous even when they do not have the puck on their stick. It is not only about scoring goals. They want to see players who can win battles, track back defensively, create pressure on the forecheck, and contribute in different situations. For defensemen, the evaluation is often even more specific. Coaches primarily look for reliability and trustworthiness. They want to see whether a defenseman can handle the pace of the game, read situations properly, and avoid unnecessary mistakes under pressure. The first pass, footwork, positioning, and the ability to move the puck quickly are critical. One calm breakout under pressure can leave a bigger impression than an end-to-end highlight play. For smaller defensemen especially, it is important to show active play, strong stick positioning, courage in battles, and high hockey IQ. And perhaps the most important thing of all, Main Camp is not simply about making or not making the team. Even players who do not earn a final roster spot can gain tremendous value from the experience. If a player impresses the organization, the team often keeps him on its future watch list. He may receive another opportunity later in the season because of injuries or roster changes. Coaches also communicate with each other constantly, and a strong performance at Main Camp can open doors to other organizations in the NAHL, NCDC, EHL, or even higher levels of hockey. Very often, a player does not make his first Main Camp, but the organization remembers him and continues to follow his development. A year later, he may return much stronger and more prepared. Especially for late bloomers or players who are rapidly improving physically and developmentally, a first Main Camp can become the beginning of a long-term relationship with an organization rather than just a one-time tryout.